Mostly I try not to think, honestly. Like if I'm, it's a bit like meditation there, that I need to just stop the brain at some point. At an actual competition, there's a lot of analysis during training of what went right or what went wrong in a certain lift, but when it comes to competition, it's just pick it up or just press it. So I don't think a lot. It's often a very quiet place. Once I get on the platform, it's very quiet. I'm not thinking. Sometimes my coach will give me one particular thing to think about, but a lot of times it's just pick it up or you know, down and up, which is very interesting to me because my day job is very intellectual and where the mind is constantly engaged. And maybe that's one thing I like about going to the gym is when I'm lifting, when it's going well, I'm actually not thinking about anything. I'm just lifting. I didn't know anything about weightlifting before I started lifting. I didn't know any of it. I knew nothing. So my name is Okker. I'm a professor of English here at the University of Missouri. And I compete in the Master 3 division for age. That's for women between 50 and 54. And I compete in the 55.5 kilo weight class. One of the things I've really learned or really experienced as a powerlifter is the difference between knowing something intellectually and then really knowing it, like really being able to do it. And so the example I always give is of my deadlift. I really struggled with the deadlift when I first learned the lift. My hips would always rise. You don't want your hips going up, you lose all your power and you end up making your back do all the work. And I knew that. Like my coaches told me over and over again, you know, don't raise your hips up. And I knew it, but somehow I couldn't get my body not to do it. And again, to me, that's a real parallel with some of the things that my students struggle with. So in my discipline, I tell them, you know, I teach literary analysis, and so don't do plot summary, like analyze the story, don't tell me what happens. And I tell them this, and yet they still do it. And why is that? Well, because and I give them examples, you know, my coaches, they do all the things they should. They demonstrate, they show me videos, they do all these things to teach me, keep your hips low. But at some point it just took time, and I have that sense of appreciation of the process of sometimes it just takes time to learn things. So when my students are frustrated or are struggling with a particular thing, maybe it's not doing plot summary, maybe it's something else, I think I have a greater sense of appreciation of just being patient with them. It's not that they're not trying, it's not that they're ignoring what I'm telling them, they're just not able to do it. And I know exactly what that feels like. They're frustrated too. They're like, why can I not do this? But then eventually I learned to keep my hips down, and it was great. Melville's Moby Dick is my favorite book. There are lots of others I love, but that one has a special place. So here's one of my favorite lines from Moby Dick. This character, Pip, he's a young boy and he's supposedly mad. And he's been watching the whole crew look at this coin, and everybody's been interpreting it differently, and people see wildly different things in the coin, and he has the wisdom to see, this mad boy supposedly, he has the wisdom to see what Melville wants us to see, which is that everyone sees the world in so many different ways. And so this is what Pip says. He says, I look, you look, he looks, we look, ye look, they look. And they make fun of him because he sounds like a grammar book. He says it again, and he says it again. He says it 3 times. I look, you look, he looks, we look, ye look, they look. I love that line. I do.